Welcome to another video. Today, as you can see, we're going to be working under the van. So I borrowed a ramp from the garage. I've got some water tanks. We've got fresh water, grey water, both 50 litre, both purchased from CAC Tanks. I'll link the website below. And we've also got a box of fitting kits. I have used these tanks before. I used slightly bigger versions, and they work really well. They've changed their fitting kit somewhat. I would say this is actually better than the one I had in the last van I fitted. These are obviously the straps for the tanks. So we've got 4 of those. There's a water filler, the cap's in this box somewhere. There's the cap. And then we've got some little hook clamps and some other fitting bits and pieces, water drain. And the tanks I went for, this is our grey water. So we've got 2 inlets if we need them, and then there's an outlet there. This is our fresh water, so this is where the fill pot, and then we've got one of these 2, I forget which one. One of these goes to obviously all of our supply to all our taps and everything, and the other one is again a water drain. I think that's our supply, that's our water drain. So what I'm going to do first is figure out whereabouts these go in the van and then get them fitted. Now they do fit, if we come under the van, they fit between chassis rails, so we've got a few options. I have a suspicion they're going to be back here somewhere, because obviously here we've got the handbrake mechanism, and even this side we've got the bracket for the parking brake if it was a left-hand drive. So I think it's going to sit here. Once we've done that, we obviously need to leave enough space to get the water pipes, water filling points and drain and everything. We need to run all the pipe work for that, making sure it avoids all the suspension and any moving parts. But yeah, as a whole, it should be pretty straightforward. Right, so they actually fit quite nicely here. These particular tanks I'm using, they've got a smaller hump. The rear one is a smaller one than the front one. And if I come to the back, you can see how well that actually fits up in there. So this is clearly where they're supposed to be. If I grab one of the brackets and a U-bolt. So these sit under there, like so. And then what we will be doing is hooking the U-bolt up. Hooking the U-bolt up into there. We'll hook the U-bolt up into the chassis like so. And the threaded bit, this is tricky one-handed, the threaded bit will come down, we'll probably go in the other hole anyway, but the threaded bit you come down through the hole, you can see there, and then nut on the bottom. Right, just a little top tip. So some of the hooks I've managed to actually get in one of the original holes. If you can't do that, don't worry, just drill some new ones. I've obviously drilled these out. I've drilled these out to 10mm, so I've gone in with a few steps going up, and then as you can see, put some under seal in there to stop them from rusting. That's now dried, so the hooks are ready to go in. I'm going to put these in, strap the tanks up, and then we're going to have a look at routing the pipework for the water filler. Right, tanks are now all in. One thing I wasn't too sure about, these, I'm not overly happy with how close these are to the end of the tank. They don't want to move, so I'm sure they'll be fine. What I'm probably going to do is tack weld a strip of metal between there, and just to hold this in place, just as an extra precaution. If you're doing this yourself, probably want to use mount them this side. I was a bit reluctant to there because of the handbrake mechanism. So the next step, we need to figure out where we're going to route the fresh water. Now the fresh water filler, if I move my light, is that big one there. As you can see, there is a chassis rail here, so we probably want to come straight up there, so we'll check that in a moment. Now this is the water hose we're using for the filler. Now like I said, that's relatively straightforward because we figure out where this is, drill a pilot hole inside, and then we can use a hole saw to come down through the middle. We then have our water filler to cut out afterwards, which will be obviously in the side of the van. So I think, yes, first thing we need to do, I'm going to have a quick measure up from a reference point. So, trying to think what we can use under here as a reference. To be honest, what I'm probably going to do is run a piece of tape. Oh, in fact, no, I don't even need to. So, this join here, the seam in the side of the van, is some distance, I'll get a tape measure out, is approximately 10 inches from where that hole is, and we can work, we can go in as well from, again, this is a rough measurements, so from the outside of the van, we're looking about, let's call it 22 inches. So 10 inches, 22 inches. Right, so our seam is just inside there. It is literally kind of there. Again, this is all very approximate, so 10 inches puts us about there. And then 22 inches from the side, that was a bit of a... so it's kind of, well, it's kind of here, which is going to be completely wrong, not going to help us at all, so we need a plan B. Right, we have a new plan. Here is just too far over, and unfortunately I also think that the bathroom is going to bathroom's going to come to about here, so I think that if I was to go straight up through there, it would come out straight underneath the toilet, which is not ideal. So what I'm probably going to do is basically come down here underneath the chassis leg, and then where's our thing there? So we're going to come under this chassis leg, through here, and probably come up there, which is literally just in front of the wheel arch, which will actually be inside the kitchen, so it'll be nicely hidden, and we can then have our filler about there. Right, I've been relegated to the other unit, so I'm back working on the floor, don't get the luxuries of a ramp. You can see I've drilled the hole there for the water filler neck to come through, and this end you can see is connected to the water tank. There's also a small blue filler pipe there which comes through to the tap, which is on a cool little clip that makes a really cool noise. So if you want to drain your water, you literally just undo it there. And then, if I climb up, go inside the van. So there's our water pipe coming through the van. And here you'll see I've drilled a little tiny hole. That is because my next step is fitting the water filler neck. Now I've used the hole there as a sort of centre mark and marked around, because this big section here is what needs to sit through there. And what I'm going to do in this video is show you how to cut a hole like that if you don't have various size hole saws. So I'm going to use a 3.5mm drill bit and essentially follow the line at close range, doing lots of little holes, and then at the end we'll knock it through, take the metal out, clean it up with a file, and we should end up with quite a nice smooth hole ready to house the water filler neck. There we are. So it's had quite a bit of filing. As you can see, it's still a little bit on the tight side. But yeah, it's all filed down. I still need to paint the edges just to stop it all from rusting. Then a bit of sealant on there and poke it through. Obviously, using a hole saw is the correct way to do it. But if you're on a budget building a van and you haven't got a hole saw, that is a good way of doing it. I'm definitely going to use my hole saws for the next lot, because it does take a while. Inside, obviously, it's a simple case of cut this to size and shove it on. Jubilee clip. And then, yeah, we've got the filler cap as well. So pleased with how all of that is looking. I'll come back outside where it's not quite so dark. I think that's kind of it for this video. I've still got the wastewater to run all of the freshwater feed via water pump to run all of that, but I'll do all of that in later videos. I think the next step for me here is actually going to be spray foam. So either the next video or the one after it will be a nice spray foam video. I do have one currently on the channel, but I think I could do better. So make sure you subscribe to see that. Like this video if you made it this far, and I'll see you next time.